Hello YouTube, this is Dungeon Master Glowbug coming at you with Dungeon Delve Episode 2. This one will be entitled Rest Stop. It is for pretty much any level, but I figured it would play best with like level 5 to 6 people because of the enemies in here, make it easily incorporated. You can be doing it in a swamp preferably, but it'll work anywhere. I don't think it could really work in a desert campaign, so sorry about that. This one is a little bit more of a mature campaign, and I should probably say viewer discretion advised for some of the material in here is pretty violent and a bit grotesque at times, but this is more of a horror. So, without further ado, we should continue on describing the base of the adventure. Your players are moving through this isolated area. There's one tavern from miles, and it's the only little inn on the side of the road. They stop. It's a storming night. They pretty much have to take shelter here or bear the elements, which if they choose to avoid the tavern, well, I'll talk about that later on. But as of if they choose to go into the tavern, they'll meet a man, early 40s, and he has a daughter which is barely 20, and they run the tavern together. The story behind this, and you can choose for him to tell them whenever you like in this throughout the story, is him and his daughter are confined to this area. There's a tribe of inbred type humans. They are they're fairly just started getting into the inbreeding because that most of their tribe has been wiped out by the harsh elements and whatnot, and there's no other tribe or anything like that. Their tribe used to be a lot bigger, a lot more flourishing, with mainly barbarians and rangers. Anyways, that guy can tell your players about it anytime you choose him to, but him and his daughter are confined here. They said, okay, fine, you don't have to live with us, but you're not leaving either. And they just sit here in the tavern and try to make ends meet. Most of the travelers that pass through, they try to rush on without really keeping them here too long. They're like, yeah, you can stay the night, and then you best get going as soon as you can in the morning, and the stuff like that. But if the players decide to stay here, there's no one or few people visiting the tavern. You might want to put a few combat capable NPCs if you don't have a lot of players. And then they just stay the night, and they're awoken in the midst of the night by a loud noise. And with said noise, they should probably investigate, and if they do, they find there's no one downstairs. All the lights are out downstairs. They can investigate further. The barkeep's room's been ransacked, and they have no idea where the daughter's room is. If they look around, check, there's a closet, and if they check the closet, you can make the search check whatever you want. There's a secret door to the daughter's room, and you see that you can describe that out as however you want her room to be. And there's no one in either of the rooms, and there's no sign of forced entry immediately until your players should go back once they're all in the main area near the front door. They hear a thud on the door, and if they open it, they find there's an arrow in the door. And as far as that goes, there's no note attached to it or anything, just an arrow. This is the tribe's way of declaring war. Players probably won't know that, but yeah, there's the tribe's declaring war on the players and any NPCs in there. They got tired of waiting, and they were coming to collect this barkeep and his daughter for less than good reasons. I'll let you work that out with your own imagination. And they knew about it, and they fled, leaving players behind, and they ended up getting captured. And your players can choose to free them later if they like. If your players try to leave, the leader of this barbarian group, who is a ranger, favorite enemy human, is set an alarm right outside, and after that alarm, he fires a arrow with a firebomb attached to it through the door if they open the door, not aiming for the players, but for the alcohol in the back of the bar to cause a mass explosion and destroy the back of the bar out and catch the bar on fire and make the players venture out into the wild. Venturing out into the wild, these people stalk them. They probably end up leaving them alone pretty quickly to go back to their campsites to determine what to do with their family members. They have traps set up all along. There's also a coven of witches in the woods that they're afraid of. You can have your players integrate that any way you want. There's rickety bridges leading across the swamp water. If you try to cross the swamp water, you need to make a strength check to pull yourself out of the mud. It's almost kind of like a quicksand mud. There should be like voodoo dolls and skulls hanging up around the trees when you get near the witches' huts and stuff. I used green hags for the witches. You can use whatever you like, and then eventually your players will come across their compound, which is palisade walls, and they go in there. There's a chef and the youngest of the clan are there, and there's a pit trap next to the gate. There's two gates, and one of them, the one on the left, has a pit trap, nothing at the bottom of it, just like a 20-30 foot pit, and you can do whatever you like with that. Altogether, the clan has the leader, which should be the highest level, 4 levels higher than the party. He's a ranger and favorite enemy human. Then everybody else is his daughter is a barbarian ranger, his son is just a rogue, and the chef is an expert, and then a ranger. The chef is just there mainly to prepare food. He's not very combat oriented, and the son's pretty young, and he can do combat. He's probably like 16, but he's not very efficient. He's probably one of the lower level people. His daughter is a great bruiser, goes up there, does a lot of damage to the players, and then him himself is dual wielding hand axes, and he can do a massive amount of damage to the players if you do him right. After all that, they'll go in deeper in and they'll find the grandma of the clan. They probably won't know too much about her, but when they go in, they'll find her sitting there. She doesn't do anything at all until threatened or until everybody else in the clan's dead. Then after which, she'll stand up, revealing herself to be a pretty high level witch. And by pretty high level, I mean 4 to 5 levels higher than the party, with access to some pretty powerful spells equivalent to the party level. This should be like a boss encounter, and players should have a really tough time dealing with her. And then after that, they can have the woman freed and her father, if the cannibals didn't already kill them. Along the way, feel free to throw in anything like body parts hanging from trees or stuff, and then maybe they find their food stashes or anything like that. And there's, of course, many swamp creatures, trolls, and the such. There's plenty of swamp creatures that you could use as random encounters along the way, and this might level your party up one time. It can be run for, I did it for about an hour, almost 2 hours, is how long it took me to run this adventure. And for the other side of the adventure, your party chooses not to go in to the tavern. Then they're attacked in the night by the father, son, and daughter. I'll attack them at their camp at night. They should get some type of advantage for sneaking up on them if the players don't hear them, and they know this land pretty well, so I give them a bonus on move silently and hide. And if your players get attacked, they're not trying to kill them necessarily. They have no qualms with it. They will kill them if somebody gets in their way, but they would prefer to knock them out or at least severely injure them and drag them back to their camp to eat them later, and that can be a pretty nice change of events if you want to put your players in the hot seat, so to speak, with that, and making them have to bust out and fight their way from the inside out. And yeah, these cannibals have been feeding on travelers passing through, so their loot supply is how equivalent to whatever level they are. I guess adventurers have passed through and been attacked, so that would be their loot. That they keep it in a quote kind of like a treasure room. They don't really have much use for the loot, but they just like throw it in a pile, and they keep whatever weapons and armor they like for themselves, and the rest of it they just discard. So yeah, that's been the Rest Stop adventure. You want to put your players in the situation, and I'm sure if they respect a horror genre, you can make this pretty scary adventure for them, considering that most of these enemies will be their level or higher and pretty tough. I gave them a damage reduction of 2, just like the barbarians damage reduction, but they all get a damage reduction of 2, and I gave them +2 to strength, constitution, and wisdom, and -2 to everything else, based on how bulky and tough they were. And I gave them a challenge rating increase by 2 for all their bonuses they had. So yeah, you can do whatever you want with that, customize it in any way you want, and you can make this a whole adventure or just a side encounter depending on what's good for your campaign. So this is Dungeon Master Bloba signing off. Oh yeah, and if you like the video, leave a like and a comment, and please feel free to leave suggestions for what my next video, whether it be Dungeon Delve or whatever else, is about. And this is Dungeon Master Bloba signing off. See you guys next time.